This daf here in Yerushalmi Pesachim, the article owes by addition where Mam Shatap of Ayin Alpha and Alpha. It was of Shem Rabbi Yeshua. And this in the Vilna is on Taf Samach Amud Alpha, the second line from the top. Okay, so the Gemara says, Lezer of Shem Rabbi Yeshua said, Tanai Bastin. It's Tanai Bastin. There was a stipulation based in, where Bastin makes a stipulation that manipulating the halachas of monetary transactions. She has a mafishas pisco that somebody can set aside his korban pesach. Zem mafishas moisav, and somebody else later on sets aside his money. Memano sor shelo, and the owner of the korban pesach accepts this person as a subscriber on the korban pesach. Vamos yitzchulin me'alein, and the money goes out l'chulin on their own, meaning it says, this is money which is hekdesh, right? He has marked his money to buy his korban pesach. And the person's nimna comes to be subscribed now is using money which is hekdesh, and the person who initially set aside the korban is taking this money now to have him join on the korban, which was very kodesh. And how can I go out the chulin if they're not being redeemed on something which is chulin, and therefore which doesn't become hekdesh? So the money hekdesh could transfer to the chulin, which becomes hekdesh. This can't work, right? That's how normally it works, right? If you go buy an animal for korban, so the money you made hekdesh was hekdesh used to buy the chulin animal. The animal becomes hekdesh, and the money becomes chulin, and so it can use the money. But here, there's no exchange to take place. So how does it work? It's like we just said, wait, for an animal which is chulin, so then it would be taken hold of by the holiness of the money. This is the sanctity of the money. Being it's chulin, they'll go out to and their money themselves will go out of chulin. But here, what's taking the hekdesh away from the money? And it's not based in who. It's a stipulation based in makes to show that they can go out to chulin. So based in has this authority to stipulate that this is the way the transaction will take place, that the money will go out to chulin despite the fact that there's no animal in its exchange. So again, tonight based on who's the shezem mafishis pisco, bezem mashim moso, mano so shelo, most yitzu chulin me'alein. So now I'm going to ask, how does this work? Yotzu chulin v'chozer kadesh? Does it go out l'chulin and then it comes kodesh again? Or kachik disho mishar rishayna was initially the intent mishar rishayna for this purpose. So I'm going to read you the Gilin Hashas here. Gilin Hashas says here, I korban edo pirusho enamulan. You can see the korban if you want, but you won't understand his explanation doesn't make sense. Va'ikar, the primary explanation is the Sfeik Yerushalmi hu machlokes Rabuna Abai Babavli. It's machlokes, I think it's Rabuna, and Abai and the Babavli im hashir hu ba'pesach or b'mos ayin sham. Is there something left over in the korban pesach? In other words, like as virtual chulin, which then the money takes hold of, and the money go out the chulin, and where the pesach, of course, goes to the new subscriber, that part of the pesach, or b'mos. Or is it sharing the money? That the money themselves, there's a special night based on money that this money doesn't ever go based on, doesn't have full hekdesh status. In other words, therefore it can lose it as the moment is paid for a portion in the korban pesach. That's what it says. Ma yotzuchum chazv v'kadosh. This is that it goes down and then it goes kodesh again. And a pesach. In other words, the pesach has the shear in it, which is as if it goes out of the chulin, and then comes back to becomes hekdesh when the money's paid for it. That's Karabuna, or the money is initially when it's made set aside for korban pesach is set aside that it's not fully hekdesh, in the sense that then it has to be exchanged in order for lose it to hekdesh. Uchabai, and that's like a bay. Then the pesach in the pesach itself, nothing is left to be as if it's chulin and reverts again to hekdesh. The Gemara asks, "Man afik b'ner." Let's difference between the two perspectives. He set aside $100 for his current Pesach. And the subscription ultimately was only for $50 worth. So if you're going to say that the money becomes chulin only when it acquires that part of Pesach, which it's as if it reverts to chulin and then becomes kodesh again. So then that part of the Korban Pesach he's buying is only worth $50. He only work for $50 of his $100, not for the whole sum. The rest of my becomes kodesh. But if you're going to say that from the time he's makdish, $100 setting aside for the Korban Pesach, again based on this Tanai based in, that that it's not fully hekdesh, it's only hekdesh for the vis-a-vis acquiring a Korban Pesach. So then, once he acquires Korban Pesach, all the money reverts to chulin, even the money which is not used in order to buy the Korban Pesach goes never fully hekdesh to begin with. Gemara now says that we're going to see it inside the Gemara now. In Tamar, if you're going to say that Yotze l'chulin because of a kodesh, if that the animal goes out l'chulin and then comes kodesh again, Sharmos, all the rest of the money. Now here it's a school in the Vilna, but Klina Shas and all the basically and the Leiden manuscript and the Mechlamayim, basically all of them Farshim say Sharmos kodesh. The part of the other 50 are kodesh. Let's see if the article changes as well. Yes, he does. It says not the kodesh, but the hekdesh, but the same principle. In Tamar, Hain in Tamar, but if you say Hain, I guess means however in this case. In Tamar, that the money is consecrated in this slightly less than hekdesh manner from the first time. Briskers would have a field day with this, obviously, and I'm sure they do. Sharmos, then all the rest of the money also is chulin hain. Once you've made a transaction, then all the money reverts to complete chulin. Okay, again, it says no hekdesh, we change it to chulin. Rabbi Yaakov Baracha Amar, Shmuel Bar Abba, boy. Rabbi Yaakov said, Shmuel Bar Abba asked as follows. So, not sure if you have, why you hear me so much a question as a statement. Now, before we get, I say the statement, I want to make go off a slight tangent here and say what the Korban Eda says, which the Shas rejected, and it will give a very different shot of Gemara. But before we said we said that according to the Shas and others, that's going on the money, right? That the money is the Kedishim Mishar Rishona for this, that it's not fully hekdesh, and therefore once the subscription is accomplished, it's whatever quasi hekdesh has falls off. The Korban Eiler is the Kaki Kedishim Mishar Rishona is going on the Korban Pesach. That it's not, and that the inquiry of the Gemara is whether the Korban Pesach goes out l'chulin and then comes back again, or whether there's a tonight intrinsically in the Korban Pesach always that you can add on as many people as you want afterwards. So it's both the statements are whether it goes out l'chulin and comes back, or are both going on the Korban Pesach, and the question is what the mechanism is in the Korban Pesach. And the Shas says doesn't understand that. So there he says rather the question whether the mechanism is in the Korban Pesach or the mechanism is in the money itself. Is going on the money. So we're going to that pshat. We're going to go to that pshat also in the statement of Shmuel Rabbah. So Shmuel Rabbah said again, Rabbi Yaakov Bar Amar Shmuel Rabbah, boy, Hagatz Moshe no Sachinam. Let's say the person who owns the Korban Pesach will say, you know what, keep your money, I'll give it to you for free. So what's going to happen with the money now? It's money remaining hekdesh forever. So we never found such a halacha. So therefore, for ma'islucha yotzer chulim chazer v'kadosh, can you hold that that the mechanism is that the in the Korban Pesach, and it goes to yotzer chulim and it comes back again, then the money should remain kodesh forever. Money doesn't remain kodesh. So it must be that the hekdesh in the Korban Pesach on the money for Korban Pesach, because it's Tanai based in, is a conditional hekdesh, and that's why the moment you subscribe to Korban Pesach, even if he's not paying for it, it's getting for nothing. The money then loses its status as hekdesh. Should be chiddush, but that's how he's learning. So again, can't be. Also, what we're about to learn, the words of the rabbis teach us, it's not a question of Yetzel because of Hektish, but it's a question of the money being the Hektish, the money being a limited Hektish based on Tanai Beis Din. Okay, and this is based on the following Gemara. Tama Tanina. We learned in Tamura. So if you gave a zona as an esnan zona, ksafin, money to harei mutarin. So that is mutar. Then you're allowed to use them to buy a korban. There's no problem of esnan zona when you pay the money. The money can be used to buy a korban. Yena shmanim uslosais. But if you gave her wine or oil or flour, anything which is brought on the mizbeach, so usher. Then of course those things can't be brought on the mizbeach, even though they're not strictly speaking korbanos, but they're brought on the mizbeach and therefore they're usher. Now Kormeir puts in a line here, nasalam mukdashin mutarim. If you give her something which is already hektish, so then it's okay. It's only can't take it after it says Sanzon and make it hektish, but if it's already hektish, then it's okay. One of the articles puts in the line. Yes, he does. Okay. So on this last halacha, that's Mukdashim Mutarit. So Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish Amar, Shimon Lakish said this includes the case of Bimaneh. It says also in the Vilna, but it should be Bimaneh Osa. Obviously, al pischo when you put when the person who hired the zona includes her in his korban and CD. Azko changed it to osa. No, that's an obvious change. So when you include her in your korban pesach, and or on your korban chagiga. So how the chagiga go in here? So the evidently Rashi, the Mir that Peitas of obeys and say that they gave Chagiga the same parameters as the Korban Pesach, that it has to be subscribed, or just the Chagiga which you eat, the Shocha Pesach, so by the same parameters it has to have subscriptions, which by which it's allocated. So, this teaches us if you can be a minor on your Pesach, right? Sheni Yitzchak because of Kaddish. It does not that goes out of Chulin. And it comes back and becomes Kodesh. Because if Kodesh, could say it's goes out of comes back and becomes Kodesh, so then so then this rededication is the dedication of an Esnan. Because it became Esnan when you gave it to her, and it became Chulin, and when you gave it to her, and it became Chulin when you were Memana her, so you're taking anything which was an Esnan and making it Kodesh. So it must be that it never goes. Again, the Tanai Beis Din was not something which takes it temporarily out of Hektish, or quasi takes it out of Hektish, and restores it, because then it should have that law of Esnan when he's Memana her. So that's not necessarily. That's not an absolute proof. Pater law, because it resolved it's about a case, Shaloni class of Tochiyodo Klum, and nothing ever entered her hand. That Esnan is only when she actually receives it. She makes a kinin on it, and she never made a kinin on it because he was memana her on the Pesach, right? He never gave it to her, kept it at home, and said, "Okay, as reward your wages of sin, I'll be reminding you of Pesach," but it never actually entered her hand. So therefore, that's why it really could be that normally the mechanism isn't the korban, that it goes out, so to speak, to chulin and comes back again. But here it wouldn't be necessary because she never actually took possession of it. Telcha, you should know this is true. The thing we learned over there. Makrivel of kini zabim kini yoldos. Now this is the Korban Eda here. This is the case. Makrivel hamud amir somebody whose friend is barred from receiving benefit from him as a result of a nether. Makrivel of the person who is barred from providing benefit can still sacrifice for him. Kini zavos obligatory karbanos, which is required to bring. Sets of birds for a zav or a zava, kini yoldos, or yoledes. I've got the mahano, even if you mean hanoah. Because the person who's barred from receiving benefit is now going to be exempting this korban. Never since he never actually received these animals in hand. Mutter, it's permissible. So I didn't Hachinam here too. Bestan lo mikra eslan. It's not called eslan unless the zona actually takes possession. And since she says not, it's mutter afach, and that's it says. My love kine zavim b'kine yoldos. What's this scenario? Lo b'shlo nichas lo chiyado klum. It's not because the mudur hana never took possession. Afach here too. B'shlo nichas chiyado klum. Nothing entered in, so that's why there's no. It's an issue no matter what. Even if you say it's Yotzi Chulin and comes back again. Okay, Rabbi Yaakov Barach Hashem Rabbi Yami said it's Spalgum Rabbi Yechanan v'Reish Hashem and Lakish. They have a machlekes. This is the separate machlekes here. Chadam Magdishin. One says that you can be makdish, meaning it says Kormena Makachim B'Tchila B'Yantiv. You may say Hektish and Yantiv, even though it looks like a transaction. She would have Yantiv. It's okay, as we'll see momentarily. And one said you can't. Rabbanan Kesar Mefashin Lohon. Rabbanan Kesar explained this. Rabbi Yochanan B'Tchila B'Yantif. Rabbi Yochanan said, what does it mean? Again, it was cryptic before. Now the Gemara explicates it, right? That Rabbi Yochanan says you can make something kachim l'chatchila on Yantif. You can't say make something kachim l'chatchila, or initially I should say, on Yantif. Is tani. So there are those who say. So what happens on Erev Pesach comes out on Shabbos? So holech it's a mochet tloim. So it says Erev Pesach Shabbos holech it's a mochet tloim. You go by people who sell sheep, lokech mem or tlei Pesach, and you can acquire for them a tlei for Pesach from a regular sheep salesman. Is tiny those who say it's a moche psachim. People are selling psachim. In other words, animals which are already consecrated as psachim from before Yom Tov, before in this case before Shabbos. So the Mandamar, and the Gemara expounds. Mandamar. The one says you go to people selling sheep which are chulin. You can be makdish even on Shabbos or Yontif. You have to go into which already makdish. Right? So this says you're not makdish. Now, this seems to be unrelated to our Gemara, as we said before. But now the Gemara brings it back. And Gemara says, going to the mochib, if the mechanism is going Pesach, if it goes out chulin, comes back again, why does it have to go to the mochib psachim? It's going to go. It's still buying chulin, right? Hadama any it's a chulin because of a kaddish. You can't say it goes out chulin because of it comes kaddish. Again, in Tamash you get to chulin because you're going to say it goes out chulin, and then it comes because of a kaddish. You're also it should be also to go to the mochib even mochib psachim. Should makdish because you remakdish again. Utzirei makdishin. Right? And so when we said you can't be makdish on Shabbos or Yontif. So that's more no, you're missing Machlokes Rabbi Yochanan Reish Lakish. It's not relevant to the conversation. Rabbi Chanina but Rabbi Yimon Chadamar b'makdish l'mochar. He says Kormei Hodei makdish, that which Reish Lakish says can't be makdish. Hain shlo makdish yom l'akriv l'mochar. So you makdish today to sacrifice tomorrow. L'akriv beyond the mutter, but if it's makdish today. Erev Pesach Shabbos, it's okay. Everybody agrees it's okay. And so the Charon Amar b'makdish leberek habayis, and what the other said the issue prohibition is makdish leberek habayis. Who does Shabbos yom tov? Makdish leberek habayis. It's only to make something close to the treasury of the Beis Hamikdash, because that looks like a transaction. Make something a sacrificial offering on Shabbos yom tov. It's permissible. Amar Rabbi Shemi. Rabbi Shemi said. Afilu command Amar, here the Korban Eidah and the Yerushalmi Pesachim also change this. Command Amar ein makdishin. It says Afilu command Amar ein makdishin b'mikdash b'kadosh b'azora. It says we read the Korban Eidah. Afilu command Amar ein makdishin b'yantiv. Moving on mochet tloim. You're allowed to buy from people selling regular sheep. For the Makdish Shabbos, how being Makdish Shabbos, Ein Isser, the Makdish Bazora. There's no prohibition because you only Makdish it later on in the Azora itself. And the Rabbanan of not making transaction does not apply in the Beis Hamikdash. But they catch him because that which you can't buy makdish Shabbos Yontif ain't allowed to do mishvus. So your shvus is a rabbinic prohibition to make the transaction, and if you're makdish in the Beis Hamikdash proper, there's no problem. Ain't shvus by mikdash. So let's complete that statement inside now. Amar Rabbi Shimi, afilu k'man amar a makdishin b'makdish ba'azara mishum shvus sheitir b'mikdash, because the shvus which they were permitted in the Beis Hamikdash. Okay, how do we know? Very basic question, which perhaps we should have asked before. How do we know you need to subscribe? Tamar michsas nefashos. It has to be you cover it by the souls. Michsas is the language of subscription. So it's a portion according to your soul, and that's a subscription. Minayin shein, and the next word is says memanion, which seems like to subscribe again, but the two Yerushalmi and the Yerushalmi Pesachim change it to Moshe. So how do you know that you could be Moshe your hand, but you can take back your subscription until the time of Shechita? Let's see what the article says on that. No, he leaves it as it is. Like he learns the Korban Edom. How do you know you can only be Nimna until Shechita? Okay, it works either way. I guess it's basically the same thing. Nemar kan se, it says over here se, but Nemar Mitzrayim se. It says by Mitzrayim se as well. Perhaps the article moves on the Pesukim. The pasuk, one of them is Yud Beis Dal, one of them is Yud Beis Gimel. Yeah, so they're pretty close to each other. Yud Beis Dal, where it talks about the subscription, says Imad Bais Yossi Seba Kachu Shchino Koreva Beiso Mirsas Blashos Ish V'Yachlot Chosu Al Haseh. That's about subscriptions. And then in the prior pasuk says Dabur Kol Das Nisrael Lemor So Chodesh Hazeh in Mitzrayim B'Chulam Ish Sela Beis Avos Sela Beis Avos. They take Sela for Beis Avos Sela Beis. Ma Zeh Shneimar Mitzrayim Chayv Lo Shachot. The second pasuk Gimel is obviously alive. So about its acquisition. It's alive. Zeh Shneimar Kan. So the one which talks about the subscription is Chayv Lo Shachot. So it's while it's alive and not when it's slaughtered. So you can. Moshe, whichever gear says it works out fine. Till Shechita, fine. That's alive. Matar Rabbi Shimon, but what about Rabbi Shimon? As Korban says, "Don't masisa chisok adam." You can keep being nimna and Moshe until zrikas adam. So says Gemara, ilu mesu ben shchita zrika. If people died who were menuim between shchita and zrika. Shemin Abayim Miskapin, are the remaining owners not atoned for? Right? So Ma Ben Mesu, Ma Moshcha Bayim Sidei Menu. So it makes people, since people can die between Shechita and Zrika, so to people can be Moshe Yidem between Shechita and Zrika as well. So Korban says, Ilu Mesa Misa Mixas Yivnei Chabura Ben Shel Zrika Milo Miskapin Enoch Bezrika. Then the others get atoned for by the Zrika. V'Lov like a Pesach Shemesa Bar Lov. It's like a Pesach whose owners died. So if they unsubscribe, it's also messed with Mabe Mason with Mashchidem. It's not between dying and withdrawing from the subscription. So he's of course dying, you die against your will. And Mashiach seems to be something which you're doing as a deliberate act. But in any event, he's saying that since it's ain't over till it's over, till Shazrika, and therefore since people could die, people could also be Moshe could die till the time of Zrika. And that brings us mamish to the bottom of Ayin Aleph on the base. So next starts in the Mishnah. So we will stop here for today.